and how we can use the services using dependency injection. First, we learn that what is the services. Okay. Services is nothing but simple class. Service is a simple class. Okay. To implement a service, it is service has many more use cases. Okay. With the help of service, we can return your business logic as well. Okay. With the help of a service, you can return your, I'm using a shortcut that is a BL stands for business logic. You can return your business logic in the service. We always return your business logic in the service. Whereas in your component file, we can return a presentation logic. Okay, whatever the data should be rendered in your browser, that is a presentation logic. We can use it in your component file, and your what is the functionality or what is the business logic we can return in your service file. Then service is used to code maintainability. It is used code maintainability. Also, it is used for code reusability. Reusability. It is used for services. Again, services provide the isolation to your component. It is provide isolation from your component. Again, it is used to connect your backend server to your front-end server. Most cases means I'm just list out the scenario or use cases of that service. Not necessarily always we use service to connect to your backend server or front-end server. Okay, these are one of the use cases I mentioned here, because service has lot more use cases, many more means use cases in the services. So for that we use a service. Okay, to implement that service we use a dependency injection. Okay, for that first we discuss how exactly flow is happened in our front-end application using a service. I'm just here discussing one general scenario, that is if I want to connect your backend server to your front-end server. For that we use a service. So just we discuss how it is connected, that we can discuss a flow diagrammatically. Okay, first just I'm showing the images. Okay, everybody is visible this?
Yes, Sumit.
Yes, Sumit.
Okay, fine. Now, our component, here is a component file. If you are see in the detail, one more view file is available for that component. Okay, so for example, view, we can indicate the notation greater than less than. If any user click on the button, for example, we create a button and it requires a list of the product. Okay, for any e-commerce website, Flipkart, Amazon, if you want to display the list of a product, that product will be a mobile product or any other product, it will click. Okay, when that click that button, the request is sent to your component file. With the help of, for that we use to send a request to the component file. Which technique we use for that? Yes. Hello.
Event binding.
Event binding. For that we use a event binding. Okay, that request is sent to your component file. Okay, Now component file, what does the component file? Take that request and give your service. Okay. That service, in the service, we return a business logic. Okay. Now the service will take that request and send to your backend server through the internet. Okay. So service sent to your backend server. Remember these things, your front end is always connected your backend server. Your front end is not directly connected to your database. Most of the misconception is the candidate has our front end is directly connected to my database. The database is, for example, the database you are using a MySQL, MongoDB. Okay. So first thing, your front end is not be directly connected to your database. It is connected to your backend server. Whatever the backend server you design, that front end will connect it to your backend server. Then furthermore, job of that backend server is to take that request, then check out which request is there. So it send which API is named. Then the server send to the particular controller. That controller process that API name and what the request is it check out and send that request to your service file. Okay. Then controller sorry, controller send that request to your service file. Service means in your Spring Boot application, there is also one more service. Okay. To write down to your business logic. For that purpose, also we use a service in your backend technology. Then service will send that data to your DAO class. Okay. The DAO is exactly job of to connect your database. Then DAO will be connected your DB. Okay. It get the data from the database and send to your service file. Okay. Now, what will be the DAO will be that then DAO send that request to your service file. Then again, service send that request or data to your controller. Then controller will check that data and make it a response. Okay, make it a response and gives to the your server. That server you are using a Tomcat server, Eureka server, yeah, or any other different servers you are using. Okay, that send a request in that format. Correct?
Yes.
Then server send that response through the internet to your front-end service. That front-end service receive that response and send to your component file. In the component file, it is perform a presentation logic. It pass that a response and again display that data to your view file. For displaying purpose, we use a data binding, correct? For display the data, you should use a data binding technique. Okay. In that way, the service is used. So what is the use here? Because your component is also directly connected to your backend. So why we need here service? Obvious, your component also you can connect directly backend. But your HTTP endpoint URL will not be directly connected to your front-end component. Okay. So some basic security level is achieved by Angular. Not fully secure that flow, but some basic security is achieved to your component and your backend server. So here service is used isolation for your component as well. If any hacker directly not be change anything in your component view file or component presentation logs. Okay. For that, service is again used for your isolation purpose as well. Okay. And whatever the HTTP endpoint URL is directly connected to your services, it not be connected to your component. Okay, whatever the request and response will receive that service. After that, once your response is received, it break your connection with your backend and frontend because that is a part of that HTTP connection, and it send the response to your component file. Okay, get these things, everybody, that a full
Yes, Sumit.
flow of
Yes,
that
Yes,
frontend to backend.
yes, Sumit.
Yes, Sumit.
Okay, so can you clear these things? If anybody wants to take a screenshot, you can take that screenshot. Otherwise, I can clear that things. Can I clear?
Yes, Sumit.
Okay, fine. So just we can go for the implementation, or we can implement that service. Okay. Can you close that PDF file? So if my PC is very slow for that.
Yes, Sumit.
Okay. So we can implement that scenario. For that, I'm already created a course component, and because to save our time, already create that simply a course component, and that course component I'm mapped in your app.component.html file. Okay, so it will show your output that course work. Now in that, I have to create a custom service. Okay, I have to create ourselves from the custom service. Here already we can create the utility folder. In that utility folder, you also create your custom service. If you want to create one more folder, you can create that folder and create your services. Otherwise, if you don't want to create any folder, you can create directly in an app folder. Okay. So which one I follow? You told me that according to I will be follow that. I can create that custom service in app folder or in a utility folder.
Nav folder.
In app folder. Okay, fine. We can create services in app folder. For right click on app folder, create a new file. Mention your service file. So just I mentioned the course dot service dot ts. Again, I am following the standard for that course dot service dot cs. Make it file name as it is service because with the help of file name we can understand it is a service file. So for that, I'm following the naming convention course dot service dot ts. Now create what we discussed here. Service is a simple class. So I have to create a simple class. I'm creating a simple class export class, and that we can mention the course service. Course service. Okay. Simple class. Let me assume that in a course service we receive a data from the backend because right now I'm not be connecting any backend server. Okay. We assume that we receive a data in your course service, and data will be that data will send your component file. Okay. So for that, I'm just creating one property here. Make it as a private. So for example, I created a course property. It is created in a string array, and inside that we can mention that some data, Angular 12. Then we can mention here a React.js. Then here we mention the Vue.js. It is all our front-end technology. Okay. Then Ember.js, and your very has to technology, that is a JSP. One more I have mentioned here. Your core technology, that is a core Java. And afterward, you are using a backend for that Spring Boot. Okay. I'm creating simply a course array. We can return that course array to your uh, component file. For that, we here create one method get course. Okay. And from that get course, we return that course array. So here we mentioned that this dot course. Okay. We have to make return statement here to return that data. Okay, now I want to access that get course method in our created component. We created course component. I have to mention, I have to access that service in our course component. Okay, so how we can access that get course in your course component? How we can access? I want to access get course in your this component. How we can access? Can you tell me? Anybody? Yes. Yes. Is there anybody? How can access that get course in our course component?
By first inject the core service and call it, create an object for it, dot get core service.
Okay. For that, we have to create the object of that core service.
Yes.
Okay. Then we can access on that object that the get course. Okay. So we can use that approach first. So we can create the object in our constructor. Okay. Simply we create a let service equal to new course service. Okay. I just copy that service name and I have to mention that course service. By default, it's a default constructor will call. I have to import that. So I'm using shortcut or the TS code to put import. Then I can access that on the service object service dot get course. Yes, I get. Now it get course is written a string array. So to store that data, we have to create one more property here. My course. Again, whose type is a string array, and initially we create it as a blank. Okay. Now we can store that data in your my course. So we can use this dot my course is equal to all data will be stored in our my course. We can access or we can display that data with the help of ng for in your course component view file. For that, we can display, we use a order list. On that order list, we use li. Apply the for loop on li star ng for, and we use a late atom of your my course array name. Okay, and the current data will be contains atom. So we have string interpretation, and what is the current data will be? It is in the temp variable. It will be displayed. Just we see here. Your data is displayed properly. It get the data. Okay, but whether this approach is correct, we using here let service new core service. What the
No.
problem is it? It is not the proper approach. What is the problem? But why we not use this approach? What is the drawback and problem of that approach? Yes, Amit.
Every time we need to create an object.
It create menu.
Object each time.
Correct. It creates, if you want to use that service in another 5 to 10 components, same service you have to access. Then you have to create the object. Every component you have to create the object. Okay, means it creates one to many objects in your Angular application. Okay, if you're creating one or more object of that service, then what's again issue? I want to use the get course. Yes. What is the issue then? Yes, Amit. What's the issue?
What is the question again?
If you create the objects in 10 or 15 components, because we have to access that service in that 10 or 15 components. For that, we have to create the object, correct? So 10 objects will be created. Every component, you have to create that line of statement, let service equal to new course service, correct? It creates a 10 objects. So what's the issue for then?
Memory gets
slow process.
slow. Memory gets slow. The performance will be downgraded.
Correct. Because every time you create an object, that memory is allocated for that object. Okay. Then your performance of the application is degrade. Because in your Angular application, only object creation task is not there. Because in your Angular application, there is a one or more static files also you have to load. For that static files, maybe your images, maybe your audio file, maybe your video file, any other JSON file as well. If you want to that static files load in your application, so there is not enough memory to load that static files because already you created objects here and allocate the memory for that object. So browser does not have that much memory to reload your static files. Okay. So it delay to loading your static files and it degrade your application performance. So Angular recommends don't use such type of object creation because every time you create the object, it will create a new instance in every component. So it is a memory problem. Most of the memories uses here. So to avoid that, the Angular use a dependency injection. Okay. So for that, Angular tells that use dependency injection. How we can use a dependency injection in Angular? So only one way you can create a dependency injection in Angular, that is a constructor level. Okay, there is no another way to create a dependency injection. So if you have to create a dependency injection, okay, Angular tells to a developer, don't create a new object every time. I will create the object for you. You just create a dependency injection. Means this course component is dependent on the another resource. Okay. So tell me which resource object you want. I will create it and give to your access in your particular component. For that, you just comment out, okay, and we can create a dependency injection. Dependency injection we can create only a constructor level. So for example, I create that service, okay, and colon core service. Make it the type of that service. We can mention that core service. It is create dependency injection. The answer is no. Okay, because it creates a simply reference of that core service. On that reference, you can access that service.get core. It not be created your actual object. Okay, let me see what the error is occur. Okay, there is no any output. First check whether your compile time error is there. There is no compile time error. It's compiled successfully. Then the error will be at the runtime error. Now check out what the runtime error. Inspect, go to your console. Now see here give the error null injector error. In core Java, in Spring Boot as well, if you're not creating an object, it gives a null pointer exception. Correct?
Yes,
Same thing here happened. There is a null injector error. And why it is null injector error? It mentioned that no provider for that core service. Means you not register or you not tell the Angular to create the object of that service. Because here right now you only the mention that the reference of that service. Okay. So we cannot mention that that create the object of that course service. For that, Angular tells that there is no provider for that core service, so I will not create the object for that service. For such type of error, we have to register that service in our provider section. So copy that service name and goes your app.module.ts file. In that app.module.ts file, there is a provider section. There is a provider is a key. Inside that, we have to register that a service. We have to import that quick fix and import that service as well. Once you register that service, it creates the object of that service, and Angular creates a singleton object of that service. And what is meant by singleton object? It creates a single instance
Yes.
throughout the application. It's called a singleton object. So Angular create a singleton object. Now see here. Now error is not be showing here. You will get that whatever the data is there, it get outputted. Clear?
Clear, Sumit.
Now it is it is called a dependency injection. 70% work is done for your dependency injection. But here, if I want to access that service in your ng on init method, can we access that service? Because here we create only a variable. That variable can be accessed here on ng on init method. Is this possible, Kritika? Is this possible? Hello, Krishnan, Anand.
I think it is possible, sir.
It is possible. Correct, Kritika?
Yes,
Ask
sir.
how it is.
Let's check whether it is possible or not. Okay, what is your name is? Variable name is service. Service dot we can get course. Okay, can call that get course method. Sorry. See here, it gives an error. What is it? Cannot find the name service. How it is possible? Because sir, it's not possible. A service is a local variable. You are creating the variable as a local in your constructor. You can access within that constructor. You cannot access in your component class. Okay? Understand, Kritika?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what the solution for that? I have to access that that's dependency injection. We created a service variable. I have to access that engine on it. For that, we have to make it service as a class property. Okay, how you can create the service as a class property? So Angular tells that you can just mention the access specifier before that service. For example, I mentioned that private. Once you mention the private as access specifier, then that service is the variable or a reference of that core service. It is make it as a class property. If service is your class property, then we can access here. Yes or no?
Yes, Sumit.
Hello? Are you connected with me, everybody?
Yes, Sumit.
Yes, Sumit.
Yes, Sumit.
Okay, so that service we can access here or not? See here, this dot service, now that service is a class property, so we can access the service within that class anywhere. So this dot service dot, we can call that get course, okay? And also we can use this dot my course here is equal to. So we can commentate this code. And now it is a proper standardized code. We can create a dependency injection and we can access in class anywhere. Where whatever you want, you can access that service in your component file, in ng on init, in constructor. If you have created your own custom method as well, you can access in that service dependency injection. So see here, the output is getting clear, everybody?
Yes, Sumit.
Yes, Sumit.
Okay, fine. So according to, with the help of the dependency injection, we can inject your service, okay, in your component file. There is no any other alternative way to use a dependency injection. There is only one way. You can create the dependency injection in your component file. Now, if you want to access in one or two components, for that I have to access that service in other 10 components. Can we access that? The answer is yes, you can access. Okay, only you have to create a dependency injection on that particular component in their constructor basis. Okay.